Static and whispers. I wasn't a man who believed in radio ghosts, not until that cursed dial on my old truck radio refused to budge past 6:30 a.m. It wasn't the static that got me. Static's par for the course on cheap radios. It was the whispers. Whispers that wormed their way into the gaps between the crackle like disembodied voices just beyond comprehension. Don't listen, they hissed, barely audible. Turn back. The hairs on my arms prickled. My rational mind argued it was engine noise, but in my gut, I knew better. Those whispers held a chilling urgency, a desperate plea drowned in static. Foolishly, I turned the dial up, hoping to clear the reception. Dead air and dread. Instead, the static intensified, morphing into a pulsating hum that vibrated the truck's floorboards. Then, silence. Dead air punctuated only by the frantic drumbeat of my heart. Relief washed over me, so complete that I didn't notice the flickering of the headlights, the dying whine of the engine. Stranded on a deserted highway in the dead of night, the silence held a different kind of terror. My phone was dead, no signal reaching this rural wasteland. Just me, the darkness, and the lingering echo of those whispers in my head. Flickering shadows and fleeting sightings. As the moon climbed higher, I caught glimpses of movement in the headlights' periphery. Flickering shadows that darted across the fields just out of sight. The rustle of unseen things in the tall grass. Each rustle, each whisper of wind sent shivers down my spine. Then I saw it. A figure, tall and skeletal, standing at the edge of the tree lane. Its eyes, two glowing embers in the darkness, met mine for a fleeting moment before it vanished. Panic clawed at my throat. I stumbled back, tripping over unseen roots, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. Back to the station. In my blind scramble, I found myself back at the truck. My hand, on autopilot, reached for the radio. With a desperate flick of the wrist, I slammed the dial past 630. Music, garbled and tinny, flooded the speakers. The whispers were gone. The rest of the night was a blur of adrenaline and paranoia. I reached help at dawn, shaken but unharmed. My old truck was towed away, its radio mysteriously dead silent for the first time in months. I never touched another radio again. The whispers, the fleeting glimpse of that skeletal figure, still haunt me. I don't know if it was real, a trick of the mind in the face of fear, or something more sinister. But one thing's for sure, I'll never forget the chilling silence of 6:30 a.m. This version introduces real-world elements like stranded vehicles and dead zones and draws on the universal fear of the unknown in the dark. The personal touch, feeling the vibrations, seeing the shadows adds a layer of immediacy and believability. Whether you believe in radio ghosts or not, this retelling aims to capture the suspense and fear that make the original creepypasta so chilling. Just remember, even if it's not true, the whispers can still get in your head, especially when you're alone in the dark. The flickering radio dial, frozen on 6:30 a.m., pulsated with an eerie crimson glow. The whispers, once faint, now hissed with amplified malice, their disembodied voices weaving a tapestry of dread. My truck, once my trusty steed, sputtered and coughed, headlights dimming like terrified eyes. Panic gnawed at my insides, urging me to flee. But where could I go, stranded on this desolate highway, swallowed by the inky blackness of the night? The whispers morphed, twisting into insidious commands, their icy tendrils slithering into my mind. Turn off the engine, they slithered, step out into the dark. We'll show you the secrets. My foot hovered over the ignition, engine thrumming like a frantic heartbeat. The truck, my only sanctuary, felt like a flimsy cage against the unseen horrors gnawing at the edges of reality. With a ragged breath, I slammed the dial past 630. A cacophony of static erupted, a sonic onslaught momentarily drowning out the whispers. But the reprieve was brief. The static morphed, coalescing into a distorted voice, gravelly and ancient. Foolish mortal, it rasped, you cannot escape our embrace. The signal, it finds you, always. The truck lurched, the engine sputtering its final protest before dying, plunging me into an abyss of silence. Silence more terrifying than any whisper, for it was in the quiet that the shadows began to dance. They emerged from the tree lane, wispy tendrils of darkness taking shape, coalescing into grotesque figures. Skeletal visages leered with hollow eyes, their bony fingers beckoning me into the inky embrace of the woods. Terror choked me, my breath a shallow rasp against the frigid air. My legs, leaden with fear, refused to obey. The figures advanced, their forms flickering like candle flames in the wind, whispers like dry leaves skittering across the asphalt. Then, a flicker of defiance sparked within me. I wouldn't surrender to this unseen terror. With a primal roar, I threw open the car door and lunged into the darkness, not towards the woods, but away. I sprinted, adrenaline coursing through my veins, the whispers a chilling chorus in my ears. My boots pounded against the unforgiving asphalt, each stride a desperate prayer for salvation. Just as my lungs burned and my vision blurred, a glimmer of light pierced the blackness. A farmhouse, windows ablaze with warm yellow light, beckoned like a beacon of hope. With a final burst of energy, I stumbled towards it, collapsing onto the porch steps, gasping for breath. The whispers faded, replaced by the comforting creak of the rocking chair on the porch and the distant barking of a dog. Safe, for now. But the memory of 6:30 a.m., the skeletal figures and the chilling whispers would forever etch their mark on my soul. And somewhere, on that desolate highway, the radio on my dashboard glowed crimson, waiting for its next unsuspecting victim. The farmer, a weathered man with calloused hands and eyes that held the wisdom of countless harvests, offered me water and a place by the stove. As I stammered out my tale, disbelief flitted across his face, only to be replaced by a grim understanding. That radio, he rasped, his voice thick with a lifetime of whispered warnings, it belonged to my cousin, found it just like you, stuck on 630. He never left his truck that night. They found him the next morning, hair white as snow, eyes staring into oblivion. His words sent a fresh wave of horror crashing over me. The farmer continued, weaving a tale of the cursed station, whispered legends of a gateway to nightmares, a portal to unseen horrors. Each word fueled the flicker of fear in my gut, urging me to put as much distance between myself and that stretch of highway as possible. Sleep refused to visit that night. My mind replayed the chilling scene, the whispers worming their way into my thoughts. Yet, as dawn painted the sky, a newfound resolve solidified within me. This wouldn't break me. Bidding farewell to the farmer, I borrowed his phone and called for a tow truck. As the sun climbed higher, casting long shadows on the asphalt, the ominous glow of the radio mocked me from the dashboard. Taking a deep breath, I reached for it. With a firm tug, I ripped the wires from the socket, silencing the whispers once and for all. The radio clattered to the floor, a dead, inert thing. The tow truck arrived, hauling my crippled truck away, the cursed radio locked in the glove compartment, a morbid souvenir of my brush with the darkness. It wasn't a clean escape, not entirely. But as I watched the miles melt away, the whispers began to fade, replaced by the comforting hum of the engine and the endless ribbon of road ahead. I know deep down that the memory of 6:30 a.m. will never truly leave me. But I also know that the whispers hold no power over me now. I faced them, stared into the abyss, and emerged, forever changed, but unbroken. From that day forward, I never touched another radio. And when I pass through deserted towns, I crank up the music, drowning out any faint whispers that might dare to rise from the static. For the memory of 6:30 a.m., the shadows in the night, and the chilling tales woven by fear serve as a constant reminder. Some whispers are best left unheard. The story ends with you emerging from the ordeal shaken but ultimately victorious. You've stared into the face of fear and come out the other side, stronger and more aware of the unseen dangers that lurk in the world. The final line serves as a chilling reminder, a warning to the audience, and a testament to your personal growth. The reader is left with a sense of unease, but also a glimmer of hope, knowing that even in the face of darkness, there is always the potential for resilience and